Giants reporter Jordan Renan, OBJ, that's Odell Beckham Jr., did some individual drills with the wide receivers and then went to work on the side. This is good news. The initial indication is that he would not be available to practice today, but he has been able to participate in some capacity. The Cowboys take their 5-game win streak to Indy to face the Colts. They snapped the Texans' franchise record 9-game win streak last week. Amazing that the Cowboys were 3-5 and have turned their season around. They can clinch the NFC East with a win on Sunday. Todd Archer is with the Cowboys, and Todd, we'll start with you. Can we get an update on linebacker Sean Lee?
Yeah, Wendy, on the practice field today for the first time since aggravating that hamstring November 5th against the Tennessee Titans. Interesting to note, though, that with Sean Lee in practice, Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith were still taking the first-team snaps. I know Jerry Jones said that Sean Lee will start when he's back and healthy and ready to go. I don't think that's an issue among the players at all. They know they'll all play. The Cowboys want to see Lee go through a full week of practice, see how he responds. But when they start against the Colts, it shouldn't surprise anybody if they stick with Vander Esch, stick with Smith, and Sean Lee replaces one or two during the course of the game.
Well, Todd, thank you. And I think we're going to bring in Mike Wells as well. We've got reporters just about everywhere today. And Mike, a big win last week against the division rival Texans. Well, what needs to be the key here to keep this playoff hopes alive?
Well, first things first, Wendy, a little bit of news. The Colts could have some help on the offensive line this week. Center Ryan Kelly, who's having a Pro Bowl caliber season, has missed the last 3 games, but he's on the practice field, and the Colts hope that he'll be able to play against a Dallas defense that's one of the top 5 in the NFL. The Colts ended Houston's 9-game winning streak last week. Now they get Dallas, who was on a hot streak. The key, of course, quarterback Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck has thrown for more touchdown passes than any quarterback in the NFL, not named Patrick Mahomes. I was talking to T.Y. Hilton earlier today, and Hilton, he basically laughed. He said anybody who thought Andrew Luck was not going to be the quarterback he was before, they should not have doubted Andrew Luck in any doubt. One little nugget, though, Matt Eberflus, the defensive coordinator for the Colts, he's going to spend a lot of time with Frank Reich, the head coach, today, because
All right, Mike, thank you. Some technical difficulties. I will say we were all shaking our head, though, because we were among those who were concerned about Andrew Luck at one point or another. How about some Defensive Rookie of the Year candidates? We'll start with the Cowboys. Linebacker Leighton Vander Esch. He has 106 tackles this year. Dallas 7-1 when he starts. The Browns' 4th overall pick, Denzel Ward. He's been the press coverage corner. Cleveland was hoping to get. Ward has played the 4th most snaps among rookies. He has intercepted 3 passes. And there he is. And Teddy, we've watched what he can do all season long.
Yeah, he's a great player, Wendy. Just somebody who came in, a lot of pressure. Everybody talked about Baker Mayfield, but he has done just as much as that first round pick.
And remember this guy? He told me he went to space. I don't know about that, but he's been quite the tandem with veteran Von Miller. Bradley Chubb's 12 sacks, just 2.5 shy of the rookie record. Then there's Derwin James. He's drawn a number of parallels to the late Sean Taylor. He's one of 2 players with at least 3 sacks and 3 picks this year. And Colts linebacker Darius Leonard, an absolute force in Indy, 7 sacks and piled up an NFL-leading 135 tackles in his 2018 rookie campaign. So there they are, the rookies to lead the league in tackles. He joined some elite company over the last 15 seasons. There have been only 2 rookies that finished as the NFL's leading tackler. Teddy certainly loves these standout linebackers. Patrick Willis in 2007, Luke Kuechly, Teddy, in 2012. Both of them went on to win the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year award. Darius Leonard joins us now. And Darius, your nickname is Maniac, and that's good news in this situation because you've been playing like a maniac among the contenders for Defensive Rookie of the Year. What has this season been like for you?
Man, it's been crazy. Just coming from South Carolina State and coming here, and it's been football 24/7. So it's been crazy, but I've been blessed to be playing well, and hopefully I can keep it going.
I tell you what, timing is everything. You also had pretty good timing because your arrival coincided with the return of Andrew Luck. It's been so good to see him healthy and playing well. What's it like to have Andrew as a leader in your locker room?
It's great, man. Just seeing all the small things he do, the way he comes to work, the way he carry himself, do treatment, and the way he prepare for the game. And it kind of just allowed me to sit back and watch and kind of take notes from a distance and kind of just made me want to mimic the things that he does.
Darius, the rookie season is different for a lot of reasons. It's also hard because you keep playing almost a full calendar year, you know, from college, then you get ready for the draft, and then a full NFL season. What's been the hardest part, the biggest part of the learning curve?
I'd say the physical part, just taking care of my body. Like you said, it's a longer season, so body banged up here and there. So just making sure I stay on top of my body, make sure I'm healthy for each Sunday.
I tell you what, Mel Kiper Jr. and Todd McShay are with us today. They're already talking about the draft in April. Do you remember what they had to say about you last year?
Yeah, just saying that I was coming from a small school. I wasn't a great guy that everybody thought I was going to be. So, yeah, I do remember.
All right, listen, this is exactly what Todd McShay said after you were drafted.
He's one of the most underrated players in this draft. We haven't talked about him at all. But look at this production. You ready? 4-year starter, school record 394 tackles, 54 tackles for loss, 22 sacks, 7 forced fumbles, and 6 interceptions. He is all over the field. He got a late invite to the Senior Bowl. He showed up, and he was one of the best defensive players there.
All right, Darius, that was after your name was called. What's it like to listen to that now?
It's crazy, man. Just bringing back memories. I mean, I got the chills just watching it all over again. I mean, so bringing back a lot of memories and just kind of makes me want to just keep working, just keeping that name high.
Well, you referenced South Carolina State. You're also a South Carolina native, as am I. So I know there's some differences between a small town in the South and Indianapolis. What's been the biggest difference?
The traffic. Coming from Lakeview, man, there's too much, but it's definitely cold here. So I'm not used to that, so I'm definitely ready to get back in South Carolina to some warm weather.
All right, let's go rapid fire here and talk about you've tackled a lot of big names already. Who's your favorite guy you've tackled so far?
Adrian Peterson, easy.
Oh, yeah? Why is that?
Because, I mean, I grew up watching him. He was my role model growing up. I had his jersey when I was younger, so that was easily my favorite person I tackled.
Okay, that makes sense. Who's out there? Who do you most want to tackle that you have not yet?
I say Saquon Barkley. I see how explosive he is and the way he plays, and I just kind of want to just go up and just try to go against him a little bit.
All right, the most difficult tackle you've faced so far?
I say Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's he's a pretty big guy. He runs behind his pads, so I definitely give it to Derrick Henry. All
right, Darius, who do you want no part of? There's got to be somebody, or at least a tackle you know would be tough.
I'm a competitor, so I'm not gonna say that I don't want to see anybody. So I'm always competing. I want to beat somebody. So I can't answer that one.
All right, fair enough. I had a feeling you might say that. You know, the Colts are playing well. You're right there in the mix as we go down the home stretch here. Obviously, you have your sights set on the postseason. What's this team got to do, Darius?
Just keep getting better each day. Just be Coach Wright talk about being 1% better each day. And as we keep competing in practice and just hopefully after each Sunday be 1-0 and just finish the fourth quarter. We want to be 4-0 in the fourth quarter. So that's the motto, and hopefully we can just be that.
All right, this might be the most difficult question. A lot of people have taken their best shot. I'm going to give you a chance. Can you do your best Andrew Luck impression?
Sunday, Sunday. That's all I got.
All right, that's a tough one when you're not prepared. No question. Well, Darius, thank you so much. We appreciate you being with us, and best of luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Sunday, Sunday. He did a pretty good job as we make our way through all 32. So we've crossed the halfway point, if you will. 17 down, 15 to go as we touch base on all 32 teams. Believe it or not, it's that time again. And Todd McShay is in the house. If you think the Ohio State rivalry with Michigan stops the game, wait until you see the top 2 picks in McShay's first mock draft. Press coverage from our Redskins reporter John Keim, not practicing today. This is an injury update. Tight end Jordan Reed, Ryan Anderson, and wide receiver Josh Dotson. Dotson not on the field. He remains in concussion protocol. The 2019 draft can't come soon enough. Here's a look at the projected top 10 picks according to our Football Power Index. This is where we expect or project these teams to finish, not where they stand right now. Arizona, the top pick, followed by the Niners, Raiders at number 3, the Jets and Falcons, rounding out the top 5. It's time now for our NFL Nation on location, looking at teams in the top of the pecking order here, starting with the Cardinals and Josh Weinfuss.
Thanks, Wendy. The Cardinals haven't had the number 1 pick since 1958. Now, 60 years later, they're projected to pick number 1, thanks in large part to having the worst offense in the NFL. Arizona is ranked last in the league in total yards, yards per rush, yards per attempt, and first downs. Improving this offense, strengthening the offensive line, and keeping quarterback Josh Rosen upright needs to be their priority in this year's draft. However, many think there isn't an offensive lineman worth the number 1 pick. That means the Cardinals either have to trade out of the pick or improve their defense before they fix their offense. For more on the Oakland Raiders, here's Paul Gutierrez.
Thanks, Josh. You know, the Raiders are in this predicament by their own doing. John Gruden did not like the roster he inherited, and as Raiders owner Mark Davis told me, poor drafting made another rebuild necessary. So Gruden gutted the roster Reggie McKenzie built, trading away Khalil Mack and Amari Cooper. Only 8 of McKenzie's 50 draft picks made before Gruden returned remain on Oakland's 53-man roster. And oh yeah, McKenzie was fired this week. So Gruden has 3 first-rounders among his 10 draft picks, and the rebuilding Raiders, well, they have needs all over the field. Or as Gruden himself said, elite pass rushers are hard to find. With the Jets, here's Rich Cimini.
Thanks, Paul. The Jets are looking at a high draft pick for the 3rd straight year, and it's not hard to figure out why. Offense. They're ranked 30th in total offense, one of the worst statistical seasons in franchise history. They have to build a better supporting cast around Sam Darnold, their young quarterback, and that means adding playmakers at receiver and running back. And you might as well throw in a couple of offensive linemen as well. They might be able to pick up a key piece in free agency, Le'Veon Bell, but really what they need to do is draft and develop players that can grow up with Sam Darnold. Now to Vaughn McClure on the Falcons.
Thanks, Rich. The Falcons didn't think they'd be in position for a high draft pick, with most people believing they were Super Bowl contenders. But injuries and ineffective play on both sides of the football have led to a 4-9 record and current 5-game losing streak. Now they're looking at a top 10 pick, maybe even a top 5 selection. And with that selection, they have to look at the offensive and defensive lines. They have to be able to run the ball on offense better and also protect Matt Ryan. And on defense, they have to be able to stop the run. Whoever they pick in the first round, it has to be a guy that's ready to come in and contribute immediately. Back to you, Wendy.
Gentlemen, thank you. A look now at Todd McShay's mock draft. This is 1.0. That means the first version of the year. Nick Bosa at the top. He's got 2 quarterbacks going in the first round. We're going to go through it with Todd himself. All right, it's not even April, and we get Todd McShay in the house, so that's good news. Listen, let's start with number 1, Nick Bosa. Obviously, his brother already performing at an extremely high level in the NFL. Any concern at all, though, regarding the injury?
No, from all accounts, he's going to be healthy, and he's going to be ready to go. And part of the reason why he didn't go back to school was so that he could go out to California and get the medical attention, rehab that he needed and wanted, and to be ready for this process. Watching him on tape, people are saying, well, he didn't want to play, he's not a competitor. He's just like his brother with the motor. It never ends. I mean, every play he's on the field, he's given everything he has. He's a technician like his brother, great with his hands, slippery pass rusher, and he'll play the run, and he's a physical guy. So to me, he's the most complete player in this draft, and any one of those...
Look at that,
D. I know.
D.
And any one of those top 4 teams would love to have him.
It's interesting because all the first 5, if you can see, they're defensive players. Teddy is like high-fiving you from across the room over there. You're much more popular now than you were. Listen, you got 2 quarterbacks in the first round, to the Jags and to the Giants. If we look at this year's crop, and I mean the ones playing now of rookie quarterbacks, how would these 2 stack up?
Not favorably, but they're still very talented. I think Justin Herbert stacks up with a guy like Josh Allen. I think we're going to start saying a lot of the same things if Herbert decides to leave Oregon after the season, and we're not sure of that because he's made comments that would lead us to believe otherwise. But like Allen, Herbert is a big, strong-arm quarterback with outstanding mobility and speed for a guy his size. And we've seen what Allen's been able to do as a runner this year, and creating and extending plays, and then the big-time throws. There are flashes, but the consistency is concerning when it comes to some of the decisions and some of the accuracy issues, just like we said about Josh Allen.
Just like we said about Josh Allen, deja vu. Listen, deja vu, we can't talk about the draft and certainly quarterbacks. We don't let Mel have his say, right? So just because you're here.
Well, Kiper, listen, I'm the first one to admit, Kiper liked Haskins a little bit before I did.
Okay.
Some of us have day jobs during the fall, right, Mel? Haskins.
Don't take that, Mel.
The first tape I watched against Penn State, he struggled. He was not the player that he was late in the year against Michigan Northwestern, where he showed up big and became much more efficient.
Where is he?
There he is.
Oh, there you are, Mel. All right, so what is your take on Haskins if he were to come out?
The cheap shot artist all the time you're sitting next to there, Wendy. But I'll let Todd have his fun for now. I'll get him later on. But in terms of Dwayne Haskins and Justin Herbert, they're going to go. Now, they could go back. And I think Herbert really could benefit from another year. He kind of regressed a little bit, was spectacular 2 years ago. This year, it just didn't fall into place for him. He was missing throws. Yeah, he left you shaking your head. And for a kid with that kind of talent, but Haskins really came on. Even the game against Penn State that Todd has highlighted as a questionable game, he rallied them down 26-14, 2 touchdown passes in the final 6 minutes to win that game on the road at Happy Valley. When he wasn't playing his best, he still won that game. So I think Haskins is the guy, after all said and done, he could be like Mitch Trubisky, 1-year starter, push way up to the top 5, top 2 in the draft.
All right, Mel, stand by. Let's go back here, Todd. Oliver, he's at number 12 now, which is interesting because you heard a lot of buzz, right? He was number 1 on a lot of those watch lists that you see. What's going on here?
It's not the jacket incident. It's not about him and the fight that he got into with his coach, Major Applewhite. It's more about him being 270 pounds as a defensive tackle. And I think scheme-wise, you got to figure out how are you going to use him. For some teams, they might want to move him outside, but you're now talking about a 6'1", 270-pound defensive end. Are you going to get the value, and is he going to be as effective? For certain teams that want to use him as a 3 technique, you got to figure out if you can keep him on the field. Can he bulk up? And if he does bulk up, does he lose some of that quickness that makes him a really good player? And I also think finishing as a pass rusher is an area that he needs to continue to improve upon. He's not, everyone's saying Aaron Donald. He's not Aaron Donald. I think he's more Grady Jarrett.
Okay, fair enough. Mel, one name you don't see here and you won't see likely is Kyler Murray, and that's because he's been drafted by the A's in the first round. It sounds like he intends to play, but if he were on this list, where does he fall?
He'd be the outlier. Yeah, he's the wild card. We had talked about that with Johnny Manziel, with Baker Mayfield, now Kyler Murray at 5'9". You go back in the last 35, 40 years, Doug Flutie at 5'9", was the last quarterback to have some success. All the other quarterbacks have been that 5'10 3/4 or higher range. And at some point, there's a point in terms of height where it's not going to work. As 5'9", okay. I think some team, after you get past Herbert and Haskins, would slot him in probably at 3, right around Daniel Jones at Duke. Some may push him higher, like happened with Mayfield. Who knows? He's the outlier. He's the wild card.
Yeah, we said that about Breeze at the time.
We don't have to worry about that.
We said that about all these shorter quarterbacks. What's the difference between 5'9.5" and 5'10 3/8 inches? I just don't. To me, I think he's a first-round pick if he were to commit to football, which there's no indication that he plans on doing that.
Right, so $4.66 million by the A's, 9th overall pick in the draft. We'll see. But to be so lucky, we should all have this problem to have major professional teams courting our services. Mel, thank you. Well done. Didn't take a cheap shot. We appreciate that. Well done by you, Todd. All right, SportsCenter special tonight with both Todd and Mel. Don't miss it. They'll tell you why Haskins could replace Eli Manning in this draft. And are we looking at the next Aaron Donald, as Todd referenced? All that and more at 8 o'clock Eastern on ESPN2. 23 teams down, 9 to go. Keep us honest here on this all-32-team edition of NFL Live. The Bears, meanwhile, are a historic franchise defensively. 2018 writing the next chapter. Rex Ryan with that story next.
Let's be legendary right here. Let's make our moment.
Stafford, good rush by Floyd. Into the end zone. It's intercepted by Fuller in the right corner of the end zone.